Hello everybody, I hope you are all doing well. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I have been wanting to do for the last couple of weeks, and that is to rank all the horror adjacent thriller movies, whatever you class these films as. I'm going to be doing a ranking and just talking about all the horror that I saw in 2024. There is a few films that I didn't get a chance to see last year, but there is over 30 films to talk about that I did see that were released last year, and we wanted to just talk about them. Before I go into it, I just want to say that this is my own opinion. I've seen a few ranking videos where they're not necessarily where I would have put them, but everybody is entitled to their own opinion. If you've ranked a film higher or lower than I have, that's fine. You know, this is my opinion. So just wanted to get that out the way before we go into my rankings. So also just wanted to note here that I am going to be talking briefly on spoilers. So because there's over 30 films to go in, I'm not going to be doing like a massive review on each one. I'm just going to be briefly talking about them. So there is going to be spoilers. I am going to be talking about the film. So if you haven't seen a certain one, I'm going to be timestamping it to just skip if there's a film that you've not seen that you'd like to see. So I'm going to be going from lowest to highest, starting off with the ones that I ranked the least. And I've got my Letterboxd up as well, just to give you my ranking for them. So first one that I have on this list, and I only gave 2 films this year 1 star, but the lowest film on my list was Hellboy the Crooked Man. Oh my goodness. So me and my partner, we went to see this in the cinema and we were the only ones there. We'd heard that it wasn't great, but we thought, why not? We're going to go and give it a chance. I love the original Hellboy, and yeah, I just this is not even really a film. I think my only positives about it was that I liked the aesthetic of it, with like the witches and, you know, it being in the dark forest. That's pretty much all I had to say positively about it. Plot, there wasn't a plot for this film, and I have heard that it is very close to the Crooked Man comic. I've not read the comic, so at least it was, from what I heard, it is true to the comic, and it was just ridiculous. The dialogue, nobody speaks like the way these characters spoke. There was a lot of weird camera shots, and I think partway through the film, and even though I was in the cinema watching it, I had no idea what was going on for partway through the film. Didn't know what happened and how these characters got from A to B. It was absolutely dreadful in my opinion. So that is my 1 star. Like I say, only positives was that I liked the aesthetic of the set. That is pretty much it for that one. My other 1 star movie was Afraid. I gave this 1 star because it was like it just did nothing. I'd heard a lot about this film, and you know, it has a really good cast. It has John Cho in it and David Dastmalchian, and I like the family. I did. I feel like they didn't do enough with the AI sort of side of things, and yeah, they just didn't. So like all of a sudden, you know, they're actually convinced that this AI is really good, and all of a sudden it just isn't, and somebody and then people start to die, and it just felt like there wasn't reasonable explanation as to why this AI was bad. We do get a lot of AI films, a lot of AI horror films recently, and this was definitely one of the worst ones that I have seen. David Dastmalchian does a really good job in this. I really love his character. I love the dad, played by John Cho. That's pretty much all I've got to say on it. So they were the only 2 films that I gave 1 star. There was 1 film that I gave 1.5 stars, and that was Night Swim. Okay, Night Swim would be a really good short horror movie. It would be a really good 45 minutes, film, I think. What more can you do in a film that is about a haunted swimming pool? The cast are really good in this film. They did a really good job, but it really drags out. What can you do with a film that is about a haunted swimming pool? Not a lot. There's some really cool shots in it, and I like the idea of it healing the dad who is quite unwell. Other than that, it just didn't do anything for me. I feel like it didn't answer many questions that I had, and yeah, it was just a Blumhouse horror movie. Blumhouse have gotten a really bad rep over the last few years, understandably. It just felt like another rushed film, cheaply made. There we go. That's kind of the way Blumhouse is going at the moment. So yeah, didn't do a lot for me, Night Swim. Up next, we are up to the 2-star rated films. This year I gave 3 films 2 stars last year, and the first one that I'd like to talk about is Subservience. Now, I watched this on Netflix. This stars Megan Fox, and again, it's another AI robot kind of film. Megan Fox, I love her. If you don't already know, Jennifer's Body is one of my all-time favourite films ever, so I was really hyped going to watch this film. Again, not really that much happened. I really liked the end. I really liked the futuristic world that they tried to create. There was just not a lot of substance with this film. I think it got really weird with the AI played by Megan Fox, or the robot played by Megan Fox, becoming quite obsessed with the dad of the household and falling in love with him. You know, she is an AI, and it just got a bit weird around that sort of side of things. I do recommend watching it. I do recommend giving it a watch and tell me your thoughts on it. I think there was just a lot of things that didn't gel well with me and my personal tastes, so that is why I gave this 2 stars. Up next, we have The Strangers Chapter 1. Oh, I feel like this should actually really be below Subservience. I gave this 2 stars because there was actually some parts that I genuinely liked about it. The first Strangers film with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman, I really love that film, and when this got released that they were going to be bringing out the Strangers sort of remake, and it was going to be a 3-part film, I was really excited for, and it was terrible. It took out every bit that I loved about the Strangers and what made the Strangers so good, and they gave us this, and it was awful. The character choices were horrendous. The thinks and does the way that these main characters did. It was just, they remade the Strangers film from, I think it was like 2005 that came out. They just remade that film, but worse. And, you know, there was a bit in it where you think the main girl in this, she's alone. She thinks somebody's in the house. She thinks somebody is, or at least somebody's around. She's getting quite nervous about it, so she goes and smokes a blunt and takes a shower. I don't know who in the right mind would do that when they think that somebody is trying to break in or someone is in the house. It just makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. So yeah, they took everything that I loved out of the original Strangers and made that, and it really quite angered me, to be honest, because I think it could have been really good if a lot more effort was put into it. It was wrote a bit better, and yeah, here's hoping that the other 2 that come out redeem itself, because I think it let a lot of people down with this movie. Coming in at my last 2-star film, we have Mr. Crocket. I saw this on Disney Plus, and I hadn't heard really anything about it, and really sort of intrigued me, so I gave it a watch, and there was a lot that I loved about this film. It wasn't long enough. I don't think it was only like an hour and a half long, I think. The runtime wasn't utilised enough to give me that full satisfaction of this film. I really love the practical effects in this, and I think they didn't explain a lot of things as much as I would have liked to. to give more insight as to why this happens, because basically Mr. Crocket is a TV show host for a children's show, and he picks up children who have been abandoned or they're getting neglected or abused, and he takes them children and takes them to his magical world behind the sort of screen. And I think the reasoning for why the main character's child got taken was not like the other ones. It was, you know, she was a single parent and she was struggling with her child, who was quite difficult to manage. And like, I don't know, I think compared to the children who were being force-fed food and neglected by their step-parents and all of that other horrible stuff, I don't think it warranted that child being taken compared to the other ones. I don't know if that was just me, but it didn't really justify why he was took. And again, I think a little bit longer, maybe just to utilise that time, just to explain a little bit things a bit more, and because I want to see more about the world and the practical effects of the chair coming to life and all of that stuff. I really liked all of that, and yeah, I hope they do another one, to be honest. I don't know if they could, possibly, with the way it ended, but I hope they do something with this idea, because I really liked it, but I think that I just wanted more from it. Now I have 3 films that I ranked 2.5 stars, and the first one that I am going to be talking about is VHS Beyond. I really hate found footage movies, and I know a lot of people love them. They've just never been my type of thing. I've watched many found footage. I think there's only a couple that I really like, and that is, I really liked Rec, and I really like The Visit, which is kind of found footage-y, but not really. I mean, I just really like The Visit, I guess. So I've never been one for found footage. It's never been my type of film to sit down and enjoy. So I've only seen the first and second VHS, I believe. I've seen the first one a few times, and it's never been my type of film. It's just never been something that I've liked. But when I heard the people behind making the short for VHS Beyond, I actually got quite excited about it. If you don't know what VHS is as a whole, normally there is an overarching story, and within that overarching story there is other short films made by other directors, and they normally are linked to all of it. So they're linked to this main story. So the main story of this one is aliens, and so every short is around aliens and spaceships and stuff. So just to make you aware, if you haven't seen it. So when I heard that Kate Siegel, Justin Long with his brother Christian Long, and I think Mike Flanagan was doing the writing for Kate Siegel's short, I got really excited for it. And to be honest, like the other VHS movies that I've seen, there's always one or two really good shorts, and the rest are horrendous. And I feel like that was that for me, so I couldn't have given it any higher. I loved Kate Siegel's one, and that was so beautifully done. I really loved it, and to be honest, I didn't know who made what. I didn't look into it until afterwards. That's when I sort of searched who's kind of made what one, but I could tell which one Justin Long made, and I could tell which one Kate Siegel made. And I think Justin Long's one was just a little bit too similar to something else, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I could tell instantly who made them. I could tell it was just such a game changer with them, and I really loved them. But yeah, the other ones didn't really like that much, so that's why I give it 2.5. Check it out if you like found footage movies. But to be honest, it is probably out of the 3 VHS films that I've seen, it is probably the best. It is the best one that I've seen by far. Yeah, I am intrigued to watch the other VHS movies, but I might give them a shot, but again, it's just not a thing. It's not a subgenre that I really like, and yeah, people are gonna go crazy, I think, at this. So another one that I gave 2.5 stars was for Imaginary, and I completely understand why everybody, and I feel like everybody that I've seen talk about this film, hate this film. There was a lot that I did really like about it. Again, this is another Blumhouse film, but I liked it a lot more to Night Swim. Imaginary, there was a lot about it that I really liked. I really didn't like the end. I felt like I called a lot of what happened, and that normally makes me hate a film if I can guess the plot and guess what's going to happen. But I think the family dynamic was really good. I like the uniqueness of a horror movie based around a teddy bear / imaginary friend. I really like that. I think they could have done more with the imaginary world, so to speak, but I hated the end, like around that. As soon as they enter sort of the imaginary area, I hated it at that point. And I don't like what they do with Chauncey the bear. I don't like what they make him look like, and it does get a bit ridiculous, and I think that's why I felt like when I watched it I was really in the middle about it, because I really liked the stepmom in it, and you know, trying to sort of win the stepchildren over. And yeah, I think there was bits that I really liked, there was bits that I really hated, and I felt like I couldn't put it anywhere other than sort of in the middle, because there was bits that I just loved about it and then bits that I didn't like. So I understand everybody's opinion on this film. I just think I couldn't decide whether I hated this film or loved it, and that's why it's here. Up next we have Trap. Okay, Josh Hartnett. I love Josh Hartnett so much. He does a really good job in this film, and I hadn't seen him in a film for a long time, I don't think. I think he stopped acting for a while maybe, but I loved this film up until halfway through the film, where they leave the concert, because it takes everything away from what drew me into watching this film. And I think when he reveals that he is the one that they are looking for, to M. Night's daughter, who is the star of the show of the concert that's being played, I think it completely takes me out the film and it ruins it, and I didn't like the other half of it. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. I've seen people really love this film and say it was one of the best of the year. I've seen people hate the film and say it was one of the worst of the year. So I've seen many opinions on this film, and I don't think there's not a majority on this film, and I genuinely think it was really, really good up until they left the concert, and it just went down and down and down from there. I have also heard that it was just a film made to start off M. Night's daughter's singing career. I mean, when you've got the funds and you're M. Night, you can do what you want, I guess. But yes, I really loved the first half. Okay, we're up to our 3-star ranked films. I have 3 movies again in this category, and so the first one that I am going to be talking about is Terrifier 3. So that was the first one that I ranked 3 stars. You might have seen my video about my thoughts with my partner on Terrifier 3 the night that we come out of the cinema to watch it. The film, the thing is with me with Terrifier is I really love the goriness. I love Art the Clown. The plot, there's never really been much of a plot, and I was hoping that this film would have had more of a plot to explain things and like the significance with Sienna and all of that stuff, and it didn't really. It was just a Christmas style Terrifier film. My favourite Terrifier movie is the first one, because of how low budget it is and how yeah, I just really was really impressed with that one. I was quite late to the party with Terrifier, so, and I think I only watched the first and the second one last year as well, before the third one came out. I watched it, I think it was a couple of months before it came out. But so I was quite late to the Terrifier party, but I'd hear everybody raving about these films, especially the second one, and I was really quite let down with it. So I guess it's just not my thing, but like I say, I love Art the Clown. I love the gore of it, and I love how over the top it is, because I think with a character like Art and how comedic he is as well, it really takes me away from how gory and how disgusting the bit of the film is, and I like that comparison and how the opposites kind of make, like how they make me feel. But yeah, I give it 3 stars. I quite liked it. It was nowhere near one of my favourite films of all of this year, of last year. Up next we have Heretic, and I really liked it. I think it's going to be obvious that anything past like sort of 2.5, 3 stars that I did like it, because it's 3 out of 5, do you know? So I did like Heretic. Not as much as I thought I would have, but and I think that's because I don't care much for movies around religion that make you question religion. I never had that much of I'm not a religious person personally, so it's never been something that is what I would tend to go for in a film, and I like the way they did it. I think they could have gone a lot further with it. Hugh Grant is phenomenal in this film, and Sophie Thatcher as well, and I've just seen her in Companion. She is an up-and-coming horror celebrity, I would say. She's really good in the movies that I have seen her in, and yeah, so I liked it. It's definitely worth a watch if you're really into sort of religious horror. I think you should watch this film if you haven't already seen it. It was quite a big release, especially right in the UK. So yeah, it's really good. It was really good and really interesting. It went where I didn't think it would go, and yeah, I highly recommend this film. And my last 3-star ranking film, we have one that came out on Netflix, and it is very similar to another film that is on Amazon Prime. Apparently this film was filmed first or something like that, but I've seen a lot of people hate this film, and I was obsessed with it, and I don't know why, because that was Time Cut. And it was very similar to Totally Killer, which came out, I think it was 23, that came out on Amazon, but apparently Time Cut was filmed first. I'm not sure if that is correct, but that's what I've heard. I was obsessed with this film. I really, really liked it. I liked the 2000s setting. You know, I grew up in the 2000s, and it was a good, I think it was weird for it to be a time movie to go to the 2000s, because I'm like, that wasn't that long ago, but it was, like. So I really liked the setting. I really like the characters. I was obsessed with the 2 sisters. I was obsessed with the friend as well, the kid that the guy, I can't remember anybody's name, but the guy that was getting bullied at the start, I really liked him. I was obsessed with this film, to be honest, and I was hooked. I wanted more, and I've heard lots of people hated it, but I loved it, so that's why I give it 3 stars. It wasn't like a perfect film by any means, but I was like hooked watching it. I loved it. Now we're up to our 3.5 stars movies. I gave 4 films 3.5 stars last year. The first one that I'd like to talk about is I Saw the TV Glow. This is a beautifully filmed movie. It is the aesthetic of it, with the cracked light purples and pinks and blues and like all the vivid neon colours. It is beautifully done, and I completely understand why people love this film. And I watched this with my partner and his friend, and me and my partner, we understood what had happened in this and how it is a representation of someone who was transgender, and my partner's friend didn't get that, and he was like, oh, I didn't catch on to that. But I think this is a great representation. Not that I'm ever going to know what that is like, but it was a lovely film to watch and see. I love the sort of practical effects and the body horror in it. And yeah, I loved this film. It was beautifully done. Up next with our 3.5 stars is Abigail, and this was one of the first films that I'd seen of the year, because I think it came out around March time, maybe February time. It was one of the first ones of the year that I'd watched, and at first I gave it like 4.5 stars, but I have rewatched it, and it isn't one of my favourites of the year, but it is something that I really enjoyed. And I think there was just a lot really good this year. There was a lot of really good films, and this wasn't as strong as some of the ones higher up, but I do recommend watching this film as well. I've never been like massive on vampire films. Like there is a few that I like Interview with the Vampire and 30 Days of Night. I also was really obsessed with like Underworld as a kid and Twilight, but I've never been like a big vampire in horror type fan. But this was really interesting, and I think if they just didn't put that Abigail is the vampire in the trailer, it would have been a good shock, because what is it with trailers these days? It told us what had happened, well, told us who Abigail was already, so I knew going into it that it isn't like a shock value thing. So why? But yes, I think if they didn't do that, that would have been a good surprise in this film. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I think it gets a little bit over the top. Catherine Newton is really good as well. I think I really liked the cast, and it is really good. I do recommend giving it a watch. Up next we have Salem's Lot. I expected this movie to not be that good going into it. I haven't seen the original Salem's Lot, but I have heard a lot about it. This was surprisingly really good. I really enjoyed it, and I think they definitely could have gone more with it. They didn't need to show the vampire at certain bits, and it would have been a good surprise towards the end. And I think there was bits like that they could have cut from the film. If it was cut a little bit differently, this would have been a fantastic movie. And yeah, I did enjoy it. I was quite surprised with it. Me and my partner, we went to see it. We were one of the only people in the cinema watching it, and we both came out being like, that was actually quite decent. So if you haven't given it a watch, I haven't seen a lot of people really talk about this film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend going to give it a watch. So up next we have Sting. This is the last film that I got in my 3.5 stars. I was really excited for this film. To be honest, there's not really been that many sort of spider orientated horror films. I mean, you can probably come back to me with lots of films that are spider related. I can think of Tarantula from like the 50s. I think there was Arachnoid possibly, or something like that. There's not, but in my opinion is there's not been very many spider films, and a lot of people have a massive fear of spiders, and it's a perfect scene really I think it's a perfect plot for a horror movie to scare people, because a lot of people are scared of spiders. I was really interested in this film from the get-go as soon as I heard about it, and I didn't see this in the cinema or anything like that. I don't think it got released for like in a cinema near me. I got it on DVD as soon as it came out. Me and my partner watched it at home, and I loved it a lot. I think the plot of it being in like an apartment complex and the spider going missing, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's taking people, and it was a very simple idea, and I think it was executed really well. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend giving that a watch as well. Now we're up to our 4-star rated movies, and I have 6 movies in 4 stars. It's been such a good year for horror. To me personally, it's down as one of the best years for horror, and I'm excited to really talk about these movies in particular. So the first one that I have, I don't know, like I said, it's not really classed as a horror, and that was Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. The second one, like I say, not really a horror, but Kind of. I loved this film. I have been anticipating for a second Beetlejuice movie for as long as I can remember. It kind of reminds me of how I was so excited for Hocus Pocus 2, but as Hocus Pocus is one of my favourite films of all time, and that really let me down, but this didn't. I was really surprised with how much I liked this film. I think there was too many plots going on for the film. It's just by no means a perfect film, but for the entertainment value and how much I loved it watching it, I give it 4 stars. Up next we have Maxxxine. So it's going to be weird sort of admitting this really. I really hate X. So when X came out, everybody was raving about it. It was one of the first films me and my partner, I don't know if that's going to shake too much. My washing machine's on and it shakes my whole house. So no, I really didn't like X. I feel like I need to watch that one again, possibly. I do own it. It was one of the first films that me and my partner watched together when we first got together, and I didn't like it. I feel like I completely missed what everybody loved about it. I don't know why. I just didn't. I was watching it and I just didn't particularly like it. Pearl, on the other hand, me and my partner, we saw that on our anniversary. When the year that it came out, we saw that on our anniversary, and I loved Pearl so much. It is the best one in my opinion. And then, like I say, we came to Maxxxine. Of course, even though I didn't really like X, I'm gonna go and watch it anyway. I love the aesthetic. I love the dirty downtown Hollywood 80s setting. You know, it's not the glorious sort of pretty like Hollywood sort of side of it. You see the nitty and gritty of it, and I really loved it. You know, we've got Maxxxine, who is the main character, played by Mia Goth, who plays Pearl as well, but Mia Goth is Maxxxine, who is the main character from X, and it's a few years later, I think it might be a decade later or something, and she is trying to make it big in Hollywood. And I really loved it. The kills are really interesting, and like I say, the whole setting of that Hollywood nitty gritty sort of, the dirty sort of style of it, I really enjoyed it. So up next on our list we have Lisa Frankenstein. This was directed by Zelda Williams and stars Catherine Newton and Cole Sprouse. I bought this on my birthday last year on DVD, and I love comedy horrors. I love the aesthetic of it, you know, the neon, very pink and blue lights to it around the 80s, and I just really love this film. I don't think a lot of people really heard of this film or spoke about it, and it was incredible. I think, and Catherine Newton, like with Sophie Thatcher, she is another one that is becoming one of the new modern sort of horror icons. I would say because she was in Abigail as well, but now she was in Lisa Frankenstein. She was also in Freaky as well from a few years ago, but I think she's done a few more things since then. Yeah, I loved Lisa Frankenstein. Up next on my list we have Strange Darling, and technically this came out in 2023. I saw this in cinema in September 2024. I think it was in some film festival in 23, but it was released to cinemas in 24, so that's why I'm including it in this list. Strange Darling is fantastic, and Carl Gallner, I don't know how you pronounce his name, is it Gallner? I have loved him since I was a child, pretty much. And the way this is filmed, it is beautiful, where it starts off and it's set in chapters. I think there's 6 chapters in the film, and it starts off right in the middle in chapter 3, and it sort of like goes back and forth to unravel this story. It is beautiful, and like I say, I love Carl Gallner, so yes, I really enjoyed this film, and to be honest, my partner said this was one of the best films of the year. I give it 4 stars because I think there is just some slightly better films, but it was very close this year. Yeah, absolutely incredible. It didn't get wide released, so if you are able to watch it, please do. Up next we have Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney. So there is another film that's quite similar to this, and I think we got 2 very similar films, but this is a really good film and I love the story of it. And I mean, I guess, what is it with nuns and people trying to make the Antichrist? Sydney Sweeney does such a good job in this film, and that last scene is heartbreaking. And if you know, I like to say, I do talk about spoilers briefly, but I don't talk in depth, especially when we've got a really long list to go through. But yeah, I love this film and I give this 4 stars. It was really well done, and again, really enjoyed it. I would rewatch it many times. And up next we have the last film that I ranked 4 stars, which was A Quiet Place Day 1. I have always loved the Quiet Place movies, and I really liked that it takes us to a really busy city like New York, and of when it first happened. It was really interesting, to be honest, to watch. And the 2 main characters that we've got, they play such good roles, and the cat, the cat is the best part of this film. I love this film. They did a really good job with showing us what happened and how the city of, like I say, a city like New York where there's noise all the time everywhere, just it's silent. Up next we're up to our 4.5 stars, and I have 4 films in 4.5 stars. The one very similar to Immaculate is the one I'm going to be talking about first, and that was the First Omen. And I was quite late to watch this. I didn't get a chance to see it in cinema. As it was released, our cinema closed that was closest to us, and it's been took over and reopened. But I only watched this a few weeks ago. It was one of the ones that I wanted to watch before making this video. So I was really impressed with Immaculate, and then I watched the First Omen and I thought that it's just slightly better, but still both 2 really good films. Yeah, I think this is really well done, and I want to see more of this universe with the Omen. I love the Omen films, and I just want to see more of it, to be honest. It was really well made, and it was really good. And I think a lot of people's opinions, these 2 films, they are quite close together with which one do you like more. For me personally, that it was the First Omen that I liked just slightly more. My partner liked Immaculate more. So I want to know which one was your favourite, if you've seen both of them. Now, this is a weird film that I didn't expect to love as much as I do, and that is Cuckoo, played by Hunter Schafer, and again the guy from Abigail that I can't remember his name. I'm gonna probably put it somewhere on the screen once, because I just can't remember who he was called. It's David something. Yeah, Cuckoo. What on earth did I watch? Bird People. Yeah, Bird People, and it was an amazing experience. I saw this one in cinema. Bird People. I love this. It wasn't particularly very scary, however there is some really tense scenes in it, and I was so attached to Hunter Schafer and the little girl that plays her sister. And I was really obsessed with their dynamic, how bittersweet it ended up being at the end. Again, just did not expect this film to be as amazing as it was, and really took me by surprise. Up next we have Speak No Evil. We have James McAvoy with his massive shoulders in this film. I haven't seen the original. Speak No Evil, and I've heard it's very bleak. But going into this, I'd already heard a lot of positive reviews around this film, and so me and my partner, we went in to see it, and I was really surprised with this. And I genuinely think it was one of them films where the trailer, again with these trailers, that I thought the trailer sort of gave me everything that I needed to see to tell me what the film was, and it doesn't. It was done really well, to the point where I was surprised throughout the whole film. I feel like some of these films are some of the scarier ones, because the family that go over to this other family's house, James McAvoy's family's house. They didn't do anything that a normal person wouldn't do. You know, they tried to leave when they thought they were getting a bit weird, and you know, there was no like stupid things. When you watch, sometimes when you watch films like this, you think, oh, why didn't you just do this? While I watched this, I genuinely was like, they did everything that you would think to do in these situations. Apologies, my camera died. Believe when my camera just died, I was talking about Speak No Evil. Yeah, that was just a really well done film. I am going to watch the original, but just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I've heard it is, again, a lot more bleak than this one. Up next, another film that I gave 4.5 stars, and that is Alien Romulus. Now, for the majority of the film, I was thinking this is most likely one of the best Alien films I have ever seen. I love the Alien franchise, however, there's a lot of Alien films that I genuinely don't like. The first one is my all-time favourite, and Alien Romulus, it really combines Alien and Aliens to me. I love the action of it, I love the suspense, I love the practical effects. It is such a good film. I have rewatched it since and I loved it just as much as I do. Why this isn't a 5-star film for me is the ending of the film, and Fede Alvarez, he did almost like an Alien Resurrection film, and I just couldn't get behind it. I couldn't love it. I couldn't give it 5 stars just because of the ending. Is it a lot more creepier, and is it done way better than Alien Resurrection? Absolutely. But it just lost me a little bit at the end. But yes, I adored this film. It was so well done, and yes, it is my second favourite Alien film. Now we're up to my 5 stars of the year. I gave 4 films 5 stars, and that is quite good, really. I mean, like I say, we've had such a good year for horror movies, and it will be down as one of the best years ever. But the first one that I have as 5 stars is Smile 2. Now, this got very mixed reviews. It wasn't as good as the first one, or people are saying that it was and it was amazing. They did my boy Carl Gallner dirty in that in this, and they put him in the trailer. Why? Like, oh, you know, the trailer made me angry. I am but obsessed with Sky Riley, and I loved her character so much. I was really rooting for her, and it was I think Smile 2 is better than Smile 1. I adore Smile 1. It was one of the best films of 22 when that came out. Yeah, Smile 2 is better than the original, I think, and again, I can say I was obsessed. I love the twist of what's real and what's not, because they did that a little bit in Smile, but not nearly as much as they did it in this film. I love how they connected to Sky. I loved her being a famous singer, and you know, she's dealing with a lot and trying to get back with her career, and you know, she's dealing with this demon and seeing people smiling everywhere. It was really good. Like I say, I love some of the jumps in it. There was a time where it did get me, and not a lot of jump scares get me, but I was just obsessed with her. And one of my most listened to songs on Spotify was New Brain by Sky Riley. I was obsessed with it. I just loved every single second of this film. It was genuinely, I couldn't fault it. I couldn't fault how good it was. I think the only thing where I was toying giving it 5 stars is that the monster, the demon thing, doesn't look as good as it does in the first film, but I don't think it took it away. I adored this film. It deserves 5 stars in my opinion. Up next we have Late Night with the Devil, and I was really late to watching this. I only watched this just before Christmas. I could watch David Dasmalchian as a late night talk show host every night. I got so into this film, and I love the way it's shot. I love that whenever it's behind the scenes and off air, it's in black and white. I just was obsessed with this film, and I wanted a lot. I want more of these. It was done so well, and this movie got a lot of love when it first came out as well. I know a lot of people were talking about it as one of the best films ever released, and I totally agree. I think it is genuinely incredible, and if you haven't given it a watch, I strongly suggest checking it out. It is, I believe it's on Shudder, but it's just one of the best films I've ever seen. I was so into the whole thing from the very start that I was obsessed with it as soon as I seen it. Up next, would this be a ranking film without talking about this movie? And this is a very love or hate film, but that was Longlegs, and this is such an incredible film. It was my most highly anticipated film of the year, and it didn't let me down at all. And the film is directed by Osgood Perkins. If you don't know who he is in Legally Blonde, that's where I knew him from. But his dad is Anthony Perkins, who plays Norman Bates in the original Psycho film. That has been one of my, when I was about 16, that was my favourite film ever. I own it. I've owned it for many years. I have always loved Psycho. I've read the book. So hearing that Osgood Perkins, or Oz Perkins, who was this guy in Legally Blonde, directing this movie that I had no idea what it was about. You know, I watched the trailer, and because I was so excited to see it, and I had no idea what I was going into. Seeing that and going into the movie almost completely blind, even though I'd seen the trailers, that's how a trailer needs to be done. It gave nothing away. Nicolas Cage was phenomenal in it, and I loved it. I need to watch it more times to go back and see all the little things that I might have missed. But there's the way it was shot, it was so beautiful and so weird. I'm really excited for The Monkey coming out. I believe that comes out in a couple of weeks. Me and my partner will be going to see that as well. And this movie made me a huge fan of Oz Perkins. I loved this film, and I'm gonna go and watch the rest of his movies. He hasn't done many of them, but this, and it's one of them films where it's not jump scary. It is so tense that I did feel a little bit scared in watching it in the cinema, because the way it is shot, it's so uncomfortable, and it's fantastically done. Honestly, hats off to Oz Perkins, and the cast is amazing. The way it's shot is so beautifully done. The character Longlegs, I'm intrigued and I want to see more of him, but I don't think I need another movie, and it's weird. It's such a fantastic film, and it is genuinely one of the best to be released. And lastly, we have my favourite film of the year. I went into this completely blind. What I did, I stayed clear of any trailer, anyone talking about it. I just completely avoided. All I knew is that there was a horror movie in the cinema, and I went to go and see it, and then that was The Substance. This was so refreshing to go into a movie completely blind, no idea what I was seeing. The body horror in this is amazing, and it was refreshing to be in the year 2024 and seeing a body horror film, and I was absolutely glued to the screen. Demi Moore, I loved the idea of this character, and I feel like it resonated with a lot of people. Obviously I'm not at that age quite yet. I'm like, you know, I'm 26, so it's like, you know, I don't have them feelings that she does, but I totally understood, and it really put that point across, you know, with, you know, she's been a Hollywood actress and star for so many years, and then as soon as she turns 50, that's it, she's kicked off to the side. So, and then Margaret Qualley being her other counterpart, yeah, it is beautiful. It is such a I am in love with this film. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love it. If you haven't seen it, I imagine you have. This is high on a lot of people's lists. I highly recommend going to see it. It is beautiful. I love the ending. I genuinely, from the start to the finish, love everything that happened and everything about it. I don't want to give too much away in these types of videos, but genuinely one of the best films I have ever seen, ever, and it is up there as one of my favourite films of all time. Very, very well done. So these were the movies that I saw last year. Again, like I said at the start, there was a few films that I hadn't gotten a chance to see, but hopefully I do catch up with them. And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I want to see your top movies of last year. I like these discussions and these comments that I get when we talk about people's favourites, because I'm always interested in people's opinions. And so yeah, I hope you liked it, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya!